Hello, my name is Minvidas, and let me invite you to our little experiment in order to find out, can we use industrial machine vision cameras for video content and streaming? But before we continue with the conditions of the experiment, I would like to clarify. Not all industrial and machine vision cameras are usable for video content. You see, these cameras are being designed, developed, and manufactured for very particular tasks for different industries. Therefore, it is a highly specialized piece of equipment. If they're not designed to provide high quality video footage into a connected device, well, they simply will not pass. But that also brings us up to our two very important conditions if you want to use a camera like that. One is the connection. If it's not a USB or USB-C port, well, then it's a challenge. And two, the communication between the camera and the computer. If it's not a plug-and-play device, it's not particularly designed, programmed that way, well, you might be in for a challenge as well. Otherwise, these work pretty fine. Now, let's go and see the conditions of the experiment. And now for the experiment itself. Now, the initial idea was to try and record a single object from different angles using different cameras. Obviously I'm the object, and really we're using four Kurokesu C3 4K USB-C cameras, similar to what you can see here in a macro shot. And as obviously you can see different lenses, then yes, all the cameras use different optics. So the one above is the fisheye lens. Now, the lenses for the main shot and the secondary shot are pretty similar. And we also have the zoom lens, which is quite efficiently usable for a close-up or for a macro shot at this point. So as you probably already see, these are analog or manual lenses, so you can set them up on your own by hand, and this is probably the best way to demonstrate them, actually simply zooming in and showing you what these, as an example, can be capable of. So there we are. So the whole setup is an idea to explore the possible usage of industrial and machine vision cameras in a non-industrial context. Let's put it this way. So then that's the question, can they be used for video content creation, for variety of possible uses? And so at this point, that was the idea of the experiment. Naturally, the second part was to try and connect them to a single computer, which is the case. So as you can probably see from the bird view camera, we have one computer right there on the other side of the table and the screen. And at this point, because they all are plug and play, so it's very easy to connect them and actually launch them and also use them simultaneously for one recording, as an example. So I'm using OBS Studio. From the light, now the light, it actually is a challenge because as you can see, I only have two lamps, and everything else I receive from the windows as a natural daylight. So if you have any experience with setting up lights, you know that daylight can be quite tricky because if it's cloudy or rainy, it's always a challenge. So the idea was to try and put the equipment a little bit more into a challenging situation to see how it will perform. And well, I dare say we have a really good result at the moment because it works pretty fine. And also important moment is that right now I'm using full automatic settings, but actually the SDK of the firmware and software for the cameras is actually open source, and actually you can set it up things there if you want to code even. But the whole setup things you want to set up, not the lenses, but actually the camera themselves via software. You can access them both through Windows controls, because I'm using Windows, or you can use OBS video settings, and it will also allow you to enter that menu and set up a variety of things. So the idea is that you can choose and optimize in order to receive a good result. At this point, I'm using everything on default just to see how the equipment will actually perform. I have to admit that for someone like me who has video content creation experience as well as streaming experience, it was fun. Honestly, it was fun. It was easy. The whole setup didn't take that much time. The main question was, will it work? Will I have, a good result? And how can I work with this? And the answer, everything was actually relatively easy and simple. Well, except, playing around with the light. But light is always a challenge, specifically if you're working with the natural lighting. But in general, connections was easy. Playing around with the optics, with the lenses, that was easy as well. Connection of the cameras and camera controls, easy as well. Well, I'm already familiar with OBS Studio, so that was easy as well. Everything was extremely convenient and easy to use. Sure, it takes time to set up everything, but if you want a really good setup, it always takes time. What was really fascinating is that, having 4 different cameras at the same time and jumping from one to another sometimes can be tricky, but at the same time, the possibilities, because my active period was like 2015, 2019, and all I had the choice in was everything that was automatic from the consumer electronics on the market. So HD webcam, that was probably the best, and because everything was an autofocus, auto zoom, so quite limited amount of choices that you can do with it. And that's I wish I had the freedom that I would have like this for the setup that I had then. So at this point, this is something that I really did enjoy this part. Now, another feature really of this camera is that sheer size. Look, guys, this is the lens, right? This is the lens. So the camera is even smaller. That's, logistics-wise, this is extremely, extremely convenient. So if you're taking the whole setup to a location that, for example, you're taking an interview as such, and you don't necessarily have perfect conditions or fully controllable conditions because it's not a studio, still not exactly that much of a challenge because you can still work with this. But besides all the other equipments, this is quite small, and very convenient. Now we also, if memory serves me right, the industrial equipment quality requirements are noticeably higher if we compare them to consumer electronics. So, food for thought. And finally, I have to admit, this was an amazing experience, really, working with this, and then naturally the post-production that we'll be waiting for afterwards. But, I definitely hope you had fun watching this as much as I had fun making this. And please like, follow, subscribe, and drop a comment if there is any particular topic, or you have a question, or there is any particular topic that you want us to cover in our future content. And once again, thank you, and hopefully see you soon.